Ladies and gentlemen, I've told you many times how things were shut down in the movie industry, especially when the Wuhan virus came sweeping through. And one of the things that we missed the most, of course, was our very own Three Rivers Comic-Con. But not only is the city opening up again, the Comic-Con is back. And I'll tell you all about it tonight as Cinematic Class is about to begin. Your professor is in. Greetings, salutations, another sundry affair. I am your cinematic professor and purveyor of truth in movies. And tonight, a special edition of Outtakes with Rick's Reel, as I have in the studio for my guest, John Engel, who you've seen before on this show numerous times, because I'm happy to announce, and I'm sure he is too, that the Three Rivers Comic-Con is now back and alive, and dare I say, bigger and better than ever before.
You would not be wrong.
There you go. So this year it'll take place June 4th and 5th, and I know you and Todd, you guys were trying for quite some time to get down to the David L. Lawrence Convention Center, and it's finally going to happen this year, right?
Yep. Well, first, thanks for having me back on. This is always a highlight of my year.
I'm sure.
So yeah, in early 2020, in January of 2020, we had made the steps to go downtown to the convention center. We had announced we were going to do this. You know, of course, COVID hit and shut everything down, postponed everything. So in 21, we did two outside events to kind of give people something to do and keep the Comic-Con vibe alive. And it was outside, so people wanted to come and check it out. And then we got, everything got cleared up a little bit, and now we're heading downtown June 4th and 5th, and we're going to be downstairs in Hall D, and it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, that'll be pretty massive. Of course, the few times you had it out at Century 3, that was pretty massive out there too. So
this space that we're in is almost twice as large as the Century 3
space. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. That's fantastic. And if I'm not mistaken, John, there's, I guess there were some people that bought tickets previously that you're going to honor for this one. Why don't you tell us about that?
Absolutely. So we use ShowClix as our ticketing service, I guess. And anyone who bought a ticket for 2020 and did not get a refund for it, that ticket automatically works for the 2022 show. You don't have to do anything. You just have to show up with that ticket. We just scan your QR code and you're good to go.
Oh, that's great. That's really nice. This virus thing really did put a cramp on a whole lot of things. I made my job a little bit easier because the studios would send out screening links.
Oh, yeah.
And I was able to sit around with a cup of coffee and my PJs and watch the movies, but instead of driving somewhere. But other than that, it really shut down a lot of things, and I think it's good that we get this back again, because this thing was, you guys started this in what, 2016?
Correct.
Yeah, so this is, I guess, officially the 6th year for it to...
Sixth or seventh. If you go by how many beers we have, I believe.
There you go.
I believe this is the 6th one. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we should mention that because that's Todd's,
oh, if I don't, Todd's gonna fire me.
Yeah, that's Todd's really big on that. Todd's really big on that. He every year you guys come up with a different beer.
Correct.
And there's always original artwork.
We don't have any of the cans labeled yet.
Okay.
I believe the labels are coming this week, and they're being produced for the show this week.
So tell us about the beer. Are you using the same people, somebody different? What's going on?
So the last 3 years, so since the 2019 show, we have used Shoe Brew, and we've partnered with them up in Zelienople. And this year they're making us a Maple Imperial Stout that has art by the legendary Howard Chaykin. It's going to be American Flag, which I actually have a copy of American Flag #1 right here, because Howard's going to be there as one of our guests. So it features Flag himself plus his cat Raoul, both drinking a beer on the label. And you can get anyone with a VIP ticket or a VIP plus ticket gets access to that beer release party Saturday night. It's going to be at the Comfort Inn on Ohio Street, so it's just across the river. It's about a 15-minute walk.
Yeah.
And you get to also walk through beautiful downtown Pittsburgh along the river. It's gorgeous. And that'll be at 8 o'clock, and you get 2 cans signed by Howard. And then if you get the VIP Plus experience, you then also get one of every year's beer previous released.
Oh, wow.
And for the first time ever, we have a artist from one of the previous beers coming back. So Joe Linsner is going to be at the show. He did our first year, the Dark Dawn big bottle.
Yeah.
And he will sign some extra of those, too, for people that get that.
That's nice.
So,
well, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea for us to explain, just your regular admission, the VIP, and the VIP Plus.
Absolutely. First off, kids 8 and under all get in free, period. Then 9 to 13 start around $5 and get up to about 7 or 8, might be 10 for the weekend. And then adults start at $13 and go all the way up to the $85 VIP package. There's a single Saturday, a single Sunday, a weekend, and then the 2 VIPs. VIPs, if you don't drink beer, the other things VIPs get is 30-minute early entry, so they get in at 9:30 instead of 10 o'clock. Everybody else gets in at 10 o'clock. And then we have 2 variants, one from Source Point Press, and it's going to be for the book Good Boy, which was a critically acclaimed book that was kind of like if John Wick's dog went and got vengeance for him. It's a very good book. It's right up your alley. And then the other one is Astronaut Down #1, which actually releases that week, that Wednesday. And the writer of the book is a guest at the show. That's James Patrick. And then the variant cover is done by Pittsburgh's own Pat Olive, who has done work for Marvel, DC, IDW, Aftershock, and it's gorgeous. You can check out the cover on our website and our social media. So check that out. It's going to be a good time.
Part of the show, and you've advertised for it, made postings on the Facebook page and what have you. Deals with this cosplay. So
when you walk into the show, you're going to go to the admission booth and get your wristband, and then you're literally going to go down cosplay row. There is going to be some photo ops. There are a couple featured cosplayers that are going to be taking photos, and then there are 5 or 6 different cosplay groups, like ones that just do generic everyday cosplay, some that do just Marvel, DC, some that do Star Trek, some that do Star Wars. But cosplay's for everybody. Literally everyone can do it. You can be as casual as you want with it. But the other big thing is people have to remember that cosplay is not consent. Like, just because somebody's in cosplay does not mean you can grope them, you can, do anything like that, because people do it all the time, and
Really?
It's terrible. And I'm telling you now, if you are caught doing that at our show, we will throw you out.
Oh.
Like, we do not allow that. That is not okay.
Let's talk a little bit about finally making your way into the David L. Lawrence Convention Center. You had a pretty sweet deal with Century 3 for a while. You had a store out there too,
Yeah.
And so that had worked out pretty nice for you. I know you and Todd both wanted to expand. There was some initial difficulty getting in. How did the convention center come around for you? What hoops did they make you jump through?
Honestly, it wasn't hard at all.
Oh.
The hardest part was actually talking Todd into doing it.
Ah.
And most of that was, I'm tracking a lot of metrics and seeing the show grow. He, I think, is a little more hesitant about doing that, just because he's more precautious than I am, I guess. But we went down there. We're doing it very minimal, so we're only doing one hall. We're not doing multiple halls. We're just doing the one. We're not doing pipe and drape, so that saves cost on us. And we're only doing 2 days. We're not doing a 3-day show. If we were doing a 3-day show, it'd be a little bit more. But everything that we're going through to get down there, the convention center made it very easy for us to get in there. They were extremely helpful. I was actually on the phone with them this morning about a question a vendor had that I could not answer, and they answered me within 30 seconds.
Oh, that's good.
It was great. They've been awesome. Yeah, there are things you can't do. Like we cannot attach the thing to a wall, and we can't bring in outside food, so we have to have the concession stand open. So,
And they provide that?
yeah, there is a fee to it, but it's nominal. And then there was a couple other things that, like, we couldn't, like, there's fees for the vendors. Like if they brought in a hand truck, like a regular dolly, like they don't have to pay the union guys to help them. But if they brought in like a pallet and they needed a forklift, then they got to pay the union guy to move the forklift.
Gotcha.
Like if you want electric at your booth, you got to pay for that. But that's on you, not on me. Like,
yeah,
you know, because if it was on me, I'm just gonna go, all right, well, here's the charge. Just, you know. But everybody's been great about it. Vendors are great. They're excited to be down there. The guests are excited to be down there. And weirdly, not really weirdly, but kind of weirdly, we've had more guests tell us that now that we're not in the malls, they're more interested in coming to the show.
Oh, why is that?
Because it gives, being in the convention center does two things. One is it gives you a lot more solidity and clout as an actual Comic-Con because you're in a convention center, right?
Okay.
You're not just like this weird thing that happens. You know, if we were in a hotel, it might be different, but then we'd have been way scaled back.
Yeah.
And the other thing that it does is it makes us part of the city. And one of the best advice I got from another showrunner, I said, when you moved your show from the hotel to the convention center in your city, what advice do you have for me, right? And he just said, embrace your city. And he said, your name's Three Rivers Comic Con. Being at Downtown Convention Center and being a mile from where the rivers meet is a huge thing, and people are going to know that. But you know, do what you can to embrace it. So we have the Pittsburgh Pirates coming as a sponsor. We have KDKA and the Green Team coming as a sponsor. You know, it's a lot of fun, and they're great. Like, you know, just being part of the city, and the cultural districts embraced us, and a lot more of the fans of the area have embraced the fact that we're like legitimizing ourselves as a convention, being in a convention center.
I want to talk about the artists that come in, and it seems like you have a real bevy of talent coming in this year. Not that you didn't in years past, but I guess with more space, you can fit more people. One of the guys coming in is Rick Leonardi.
Yeah.
He does Spider-Man 2099. He was the creator for that.
Yep. I have my personal copy of number one right here.
There it is. Of course, our old friend Ron Frenz is coming back.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's see.
We've got some of his stuff here.
Oh, Ron, if you guys have never met Ron Frenz, you need to. He is the best storyteller.
There you go.
This is a sketch Ron did for me of Superman a couple years ago. It was really kind of nice of him. And then this is the first appearance of Black Suit Spider-Man in Amazing Spider-Man. And it was also colored by Brett Breeding, who is another guest we have
signed up at the top there, huh?
Yep. And then I have DeFalco's signature on there, the guy who wrote it, because they were at Wizard World together.
Yeah, a lot of people don't remember it was Ron Frenz who he was the black costume guy. He was, the guy that brought that along.
But no, they're all great, and that's just a tiny bit of all the people we have, because we have over 120 artists in our artist alley. It's nuts. It's huge.
These guys have to be awfully well. Ron's local, so I mean, I would imagine things are a little bit better for him. But some of these guys, I would imagine, are a little bit tougher to tackle down. How do you can you deal with them directly, or do you have to go through agents and all that stuff?
It's a 50-50. Sometimes it's, there's a couple guys that, like Howard Chaykin and Rick Leonardi, for instance. Like we had met them ahead of time at other shows. They expressed interest. But they both have the same agent. So it was easy to talk to one guy about both of these guys.
Gotcha.
And then at that point, once they confirmed, it was just, okay, well, here's your flight, and here's your hotel. And
now, do you have to set that all up?
Sometimes. A couple guys had their own travel agent, and some guys we just went on Expedia and bought a flight
And
or
booked for them.
booked a train or something, whatever they needed. And
Talking to you guys earlier, and your logo, your logo has something to that effect that we're bringing the comics back to Comic-Con, something to that nature.
that's the slogan. Yeah.
Yeah. So I know one of the knocks, if you will,
Okay.
against some of the bigger Comic-Cons were that it was becoming like a big commercial. The studios were getting involved with their movies and what have you, and that there were other people, so that you could actually go, for example, like the big Comic-Con, you could go to that and really probably spend your entire weekend out there and never actually look at a comic. I mean, there's so many
Yes.
other things
Yes.
out there, and I
yeah.
think you and Todd originally said that you didn't want to do that. You wanted to make the comics the keys. So, jumping on what you just said, can you allow this thing to grow without opening doors to those other?
So we've never completely ruled out actors or anything like that.
Okay.
But it's just something that we're not going to focus the show on ever. And we really prefer them to have some kind of tie to Pittsburgh if we could. So, like, for instance, if Michael Keaton randomly showed up and was
Yeah.
like, hey, man, I want to table at your show, we'd be like, absolutely. You're Batman, the Vulture, Birdman. Sure, man. You're totally down. Like, we don't care. But, if like we get agents that bug us all year of, hey, we have 16 Power Rangers and 40 wrestlers.
Oh, really?
If you
Yeah.
want them. And we're like, we're not really interested unless they've done a comic book
Yeah.
or have a tie to Pittsburgh. And it's not that we don't think that there's a place for that at our show ever. It's just right now we are still focused on comics. We're all the stuff that those movies are based on is
Okay.
what we really want to highlight, because nobody does that anymore. So,
Okay, well, let's take another tangent off of that. There
Sure.
are some tables at your show that are not comic book people; they're vendors with comic book themes. How do you judge those people and that table to come in?
I guess can you rephrase the question? Are you talking about like people that have not published like through a major printer, or are you talking like people that just do art, or like I
Well,
need a little more.
Okay.
You need to be a little clearer
Okay.
on the question.
For
that's all.
example, the one I remember the one thing I got, because I bought a lot of them and I gave them out as Christmas gifts. You had a guy at a table. I can't remember who he was. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But you had a guy at a table, and he had tiles.
Oh, yeah.
And you know the guy I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, and he had like pictures from comics
Mhm.
on the tiles,
Mhm.
and you could use them as coasters.
Yep.
You know. So okay, so you know the
Yep.
guy I'm talking about, and that's what I'm talking about. He's not. I don't think he draws comic books.
He does not.
So, but he's selling. You know, he's a vendor selling stuff at the Comic-Con. So how can you? What are your rules and regulations
Okay,
for
okay,
allowing
okay.
those types of people
So,
in?
as long as copyright laws are not broken, we're
Yeah.
pretty much good. So whether it's fan art, so you can't have more than, I believe it's 20% of your booth can be actual fan art. After 80% has to be real, like
What
your
do you mean by real?
original art, like
okay.
original characters, original themes, stuff like that.
Okay.
And then, because people aren't really going to walk by a booth unless they see something they recognize. So we understand that you're going to have a little bit of fan art.
Sure.
But if you're just throwing a filter on a picture or something, that's not okay. But things like the coasters,
Yeah.
it's comic related. It's not breaking the rules, because it's like they're just recycling old comics, really. And they're selling a whole different medium. They're selling a coaster.
Sure.
But we've also had like the guy that had the cool clocks made of records.
Yeah. The
I
vinyl
just thought
cloth.
that
Yeah,
was cool.
Yeah.
And then we have like people that do nerd crafting. We call it nerd craft. And they'll do scarves or plush or whatever.
Yes.
and
Oven
blankets.
mitts were there.
Yeah. And the way I look at it is like, because some shows get a bad rap for that kind of stuff, but the way I look at it as that's art. Like, I can't make that. Can you make that?
No,
because I can't make that.
No, I can't
right?
make it.
So you gotta practice a long time.
Yeah.
Like, I watched my wife learn to crochet, and it took her a long time to get good at it. So to me, someone who studied music, I understand that is an art form to do that kind of stuff.
Right.
Making something out of something is art. I don't care who you are. That is art. If they were just buying it mass produced from out overseas or even continental and just selling it, then we'd have a problem.
Right. I understand. And that makes sense. And that's why the things especially the things that I've found down there, are unique. You're not going to find them anywhere else.
Right.
Everybody has their business card, and they say, if you like this, you could always,
check out
call
my
me.
Etsy store. Yeah,
exactly. But when you're right there and it's right in front of you, I know I got a couple of T-shirts down here at the last Comic-Con, and it had the city skyline, Pittsburgh's city skyline, and Godzilla coming over it.
Nice.
Yeah, real nice.
Nice.
So everybody got one of those for Christmas too. That type of. Hey, you're not going to find that. You can't walk into a store somewhere and say, I'd like the Godzilla Pittsburgh T-shirt. It's not there. So you got to grab that stuff while you're there, and it's right there in front of you. That's pretty good
speaking
stuff.
of shirts, our poster is actually going to be on a shirt, only available at the convention. It's $20 up through XL, $25 for XX and XXX. They come in black and gray, and the art is a culmination of 3 local artists. So firstly, it's an homage to both Action Comics #1 and Fantastic Four #1, which is awesome.
Okay.
It was hand-drawn by Howard Bender, who is a local artist. He worked for Marvel, DC, Archie. I pitched him the idea. He sent me like 5 different things. That's what we settled on. And then we had it colored by Andrew Harmon. He lives out in New Ken area. And then the top half was lettered, who did the stylized Action Comic style version of our logo. That was done by Justin Birch. He lives over in Wheeling. And all 3 are going to be side by side at our show at 3 separate artist tables. And if you have one of these little postcards and you want to get it signed, cool. If you have a shirt you want to get it signed, cool. If you have one of the big posters, come by and check it out. But all of those guys have worked for multiple publishing companies, are awesome artists, and they're really great people.
So let's wrap this one up. It is the Three
it.
Rivers Comic-Con. This will be the 7th year?
6th or 7th,
6th
whatever.
or 7th year. It is June 4th and 5th at the David L. Lawrence Convention Center. Doors open at 10 a.m.
10 for general admission.
But if you're a VIP guy,
9:30.
9:30, you get a half-hour run on everybody else on there. Check out the Comic-Con. You can Google it, and then the page will come up. You can order your tickets. You can check them out on Facebook. Anything else we need to know?
Just, remember, cosplay is consent. Cosplay's for everybody. And, it is a family-friendly event. And, bring your kids. It's going to be a lot of fun. And if you come down, tickets aren't that expensive. Come on down, check it out. And if you don't like it, there's still a whole city to explore.
This is true. This is very
But
true.
we really aim to please. I promise. So
we'll see you down there at the Convention Center, June 4th and 5th. And we do want to say we miss Todd. He is out actually promoting the show out of the city, why he couldn't join us in the studio today. But he will be down there, and you'll be able to see him and talk to him then. So now that you have learned what you have learned, here endeth your lesson.